Hello.
I gotta tell you that intro music is interesting. It has kind of a club vibe.
Yeah, it's the same one from last week, Beat Smash. I'm kind of getting hooked on it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should have an $18 Jack and Coke in my hands or something.
Yeah, and maybe some flashing lights and
right.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna be honest. My mood for the night drastically improved in the last 2 minutes.
Who hit a home run?
Well, Cunha just hit his 10th, and then Sean Murphy just hit a 2-run shot. So they're still losing, but the stats are nice.
Yeah.
And I'm taking an absolute fantasy pounding the last 2 days. So the fact that those are my first 2 even fantasy homers out of 3 teams today, I'll take it.
It's amazing how much fantasy sports can control our moods. It's sad, really.
Right? It is. It's sad and kind of embarrassing. But yeah. I will say the absolute worst thing, I know you're in some daily leagues, the thing that drives me the most crazy is I'll get an alert that someone's not playing. Like, for example, Ryan Mountcastle today. He's been struggling anyway, but he's given a day off. So I immediately just yank him out of my lineup. It's better anyway. And sure enough, he comes in the 6th inning. He's 2 for 2 with he hit a 3-run homer or a 2-run homer or something.
The pinch hitting, yep. Yeah, that gets you.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. But yeah, I met my wife asked me, why do I keep playing? Because it seems like it's just, yes, number 10, baby. Yeah, because I feel like it's more frustration than it is satisfaction.
Yeah, I get that question too.
Yeah, but I did suggest to her that things I continue to be a part of, where frustration and satisfaction are running neck and neck, she should not pull that thread. Like, that might not be something for the wife to question.
Well, welcome to Blabbin Bout Slabbin, everybody. Thanks for joining us here live on YouTube. Appreciate you joining us as usual on Tuesday night. Dr. Mantis, welcome. So yeah, tonight we got a lot to talk about, especially the Major League Baseball season. We talked about fantasy, but now the real season, we're about 6 weeks in, so we have a little bit of an idea of where things are going and where our predictions are going wrong. So we can talk about that.
Dr. Mantis, I was just going to say to Dr. Mantis Toboggan, we appreciate you taking time out from stalking your local pharmacist to join us today. That's a pretty deep reference, but I'm sure you're on board with it. But yeah.
Before we get to the season so far, though, I think Chris picked up a big card.
Yeah, I mean, considering our last purchase was big, this is a decent size. This is definitely, if you caught this fish, you wouldn't throw it back. But yeah, I bought this technically before the Ohtani, but with eBay authentication and some shipping, it takes a while to get here. But yeah, there's an Austin Riley rookie card I have been after for a very, very long time. Our good friend Ephus Pitch encouraged me to get one with him. I think about 2 years ago, there was a guy selling a lot of 2, but I wussed out, and he had to go on his own. And I really have not seen one reasonably priced or even available since then. But I love the card. I think it's his best rookie image. It's a little silly, but it is it's great. So this is his update SSP. It's him and Blooper working the hamstrings before the game.
A little stretching.
Yep, something you and I know a lot about since we turned 40. But
gotta stretch.
Yes, but yeah, I love this card. I think it's great. And that's that horizontal SSP goes right to the feels for me. And as much as Blooper's pretty much a ripoff of the Fanatic, I do really enjoy him. I think he's great. Even when he takes off an occasional heated sprint from center field when he doesn't quite do what I promised my dad is coming. Yeah, Eric, I know you just picked up that PSA 10. This one's got a good shot. The only thing I noticed The top edge has like maybe a little factory rough cut spot. I don't know how harsh PSA is. We know these update cards from 2019 often look like they've been through the ringer. But as those go, I would say this is one of the cleanest 2019 updates I've seen.
MGR Sports Card, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate the support. Much apprecited. Chris referenced our Ohtani, which I finally got to see this week. Here is our Ohtani purchase.
Yeah, Eric.
If you missed last week, check out our video and you can hear about the long story it took for us to land this card. But I still can't get over how clean those corners are.
It's insane. And we should say that if you didn't see the sort of the story that broke over the weekend about the Ohtani trimming scandal, you can check out the blowout forum in the Ohtani chat. But long story short, someone bought a BGS 9 of the Independence Day update parallel in March. And then in April, that very same card, same serial number, popped up in a PSA 10 slab on eBay and sold for like $11,000.
And you could see it was clearly trimmed.
All the stars, the edge of the stars, it's very different.
It's easy to tell.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we love this black. And to our eye, it does not look too small for the holder. So I think it is a clean card. Yeah,
it looks the size on ours does look right. It's crazy to me that BGS or PSA missed.
Agreed.
Jeff and I have had 2 cards come back minimum size requirement. So it's shocking to me that they get the big card. An Ohtani update Independence Day should be looked at by like 2 people, you would think.
Not to mention, it would have taken. They have a whole category on their meter that they're following when you submit. That's research and ID. It would have taken all of 10 seconds to research and ID that exact same card sold 2 weeks earlier. And everything.
Yeah, it would have been the first one to show up. Yeah, and they should have. The edge was totally different and just altered it right away. Yeah. But I don't know.
So, we'll see. I hope it's a good result for the owner. The owner showed up in the blowout chat as well. The guy who purchased it. So hopefully PSA will stand behind their guarantee.
Yes. He said he's been in contact with PSA. He's waiting to hear back. But I think based on what the PSA site says and what their literature says, they should reimburse him. They should buy that card back from him.
And then what's the next step? Do they destroy the cards so we're one less down in the pop? Do they put it in an altered? That's easy enough to break out and resubmit again. So
what I picture in my head, Jeff, is like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's what I picture. Someone just very slowly wheeling it on a dolly into this massive warehouse full of cards that PSA has misgraded and had to buy back.
Yeah,
dramatic music playing. That's what I like to think about. That's how I see it shaking out.
I just fear that it could escape again, but
it's the serial numbered stuff. The serial numbered stuff should be a lot harder to get away with.
And that's been pointed out in a lot of discussions on this card, as well as the other trimming cards and other scandals that have been going around recently, is that it is a huge part of the PSA business model to resubmit cards, submit them over and over again. Some cards have been submitted 4, 5, 6 times. So top reports is another thing that you can't really rely on exactly because of that. But
just the 10 part, because you got to assume those aren't getting resubbed.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the Independence Day. First of all, I almost want to applaud the sheer brazenness of the person who trimmed it. Bought it, trimmed it, subbed it, sold it, all within about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's got goddamn stars on it. It's very clear on the side that the card is different. But I mean, I'm sure. I believe I saw in the chat it was they looked at the sub and they're guessing it was a group sub.
I'm sure it was, but they got to put pressure on that group subber to find out who that individual was.
Yeah, and then I think it was consigned on eBay. I think, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not sure who the seller was on eBay, but that I would think is the first place you go to.
Yeah.
And then figure out the group subber. But I did just very briefly want to get back to Austin Riley for a second. I was trying to get him jump started. He and Matt Olson have really been struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to do a quick Austin Riley show off for a moment, if I may. I love this card. I really only have one other nice Austin Riley card, and it's from the same set. So I have the SP, but the auto.
Yes.
Really cool idea that Topps does. They put a couple really random or rare paper autos like in update. It's the only time, quite frankly, that a sticker doesn't send me into a furious rage.
Yeah.
I wish it weren't, but I wish it were on card. That's my only fault. I think the ones in 2018 were numbered out of 5. They didn't number the 19 ones, so I don't know. I think there's 2 on the PSA pop report.
So it could be as low as that. It could be 5.
It could.
Right around. Yeah.
But that's one of the rare cards I bought off COMC that didn't arrive looking like they drove over it with a car before they put it in the mail.
Angle. Right. Yeah.
But
well, great. Well, now let's get to on card, Eric. Yes, on card with those would be insane. And I mean, it's only especially if it's only a 5 to 10 run, you think that they would be able to make that happen, and that's something Fanatics hopefully is able to do.
Yeah, I know they obviously can't get any of the Topps Chrome update autos, on card. But I mean, what did the Acuna vertical white jersey with the sticker auto and a PSA 10? I think it just sold for like 11 or 13 grand. Imagine if that thing were on card.
I was just gonna say, imagine if it were on card.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, ay.
But speaking of Acuna, that's one prediction I believe you got right. You want to run through our preseason predictions?
Yeah, we did this about 6 weeks ago. Definitely some surprises. In hindsight, I definitely wrote down what the hell was I thinking. But a couple picks look okay right now. I had Acuna for MVP. So far, that one looks great. My runner-up was Machado. That one doesn't look so good. And then my AL Cy Young, I had Garrett Cole. And I'm looking pretty good on that one.
He's looking good. I had McClanahan.
Also looking great.
He's 7-0, so I think those two are kind of neck and neck for that AL Cy Young award.
Yeah. My other picks, NL Cy Young, I had Brandon Woodruff. But I made the mistake of picking someone who's on one of my fantasy teams. And as you know, I am kryptonite to any major league pitcher when it comes to fantasy sports. So Woodruff joins Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Kyle Wright, and Lodolo from the Reds as pitchers I have absolutely ruined this year. I apologize to anyone out there who plays fantasy if you have those guys.
Yeah, I think your luck went to me too, because my Cy Young pick was Corbin Burns, and he's been pitching more like Mr. Burns. He's been absolutely awful this year, so neither of us are looking good there. I had Corbin Carroll as my rookie of the year, who's still, I mean, he's just over 1 WAR, not bad.
Not bad. I mean, it's a bunch of 2022 rookies and 2023 rookies and some sophomores are disappointing a little bit, but still very, very early. I do want to point out my AL Cy Young, my runner-up picks. This was what I was bad at. My runner-up pick was Alek Manoah. So that's a big fat swing and a miss on that one.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because I got a lot of responses about that in my question on IG about the biggest surprises. Rediscovering Sports Cards had 3 words: Manoah's missing mojo. Yeah, it is really surprising, shocking.
Yes, yeah, their use of alliteration it puts a smile on my face, despite the fact that Manoah is also on one of my fantasy teams. So I'll take the heat on that one too. Yeah. I almost wish he was hurt. It would just make more sense. Yeah, Aaron Davies. I mean, his numbers are literally doubled from last year. His whip is 1.8. Like, that's insane.
He just can't stop walking people, and I don't know if it's the pitch clock, what it is, but it's just incredible.
Yeah, it's you'd almost rather people just be hurt than be terrible. Like, it's hard to imagine getting this bad over the course. Like, he was fantastic last year, and now literally can't get people out at all. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious if he just gained a bunch of weight in the off season. We can wait for Topps to put him in a set with the most unflattering current photos possible, and we can get a sense of it. I don't know. He's a big, large Sabathia type guy, so I mean, it's hard to really know.
Yeah, and he was one of the big reasons that I picked the Jays to win the East and make it to the AL Championship Series.
Yeah, I had him in the World Series. Yeah. Yes, he, again, just like Mr. Burns, for sure. Yeah. or even more like a hypnotized Roger Clemens. We want to get into some Simpsons, some deep dive Simpsons references. Yeah, it's bad, really, really bad. It's hard to explain. And the clubhouse, that must be tough.
Yeah. What do you say at this point?
I mean, is he too established to go to AAA for a month?
Probably.
I mean, they did it. They did it to Halladay.
What did he have last time? 7 walks? 7 walks, 3 passes?
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. There's only one player in the Yankee lineup worth walking. So it just doesn't make. These are professional ball players, Aaron Davies. It rolls right off their back.
One thing I wanted to mention, my AL MVP pick is having a great season. But as long as Ohtani's in the league, no chance he wins. But Yordan Alvarez is, despite missing some time, he's up to 37 RBIs, 9 home runs.
Yeah, he's great.
Or he's doing great. But the way Ohtani's playing, I can't see anybody beating him.
Yeah, my AL MVP was Guerrero, and he's
getting going now. Yeah.
But yeah, but speaking of Ohtani, I watched that home running hit yesterday off of Grayson Rodriguez, another guy I had on 2 fantasy teams at the beginning of the year. Again, I'm sorry to anyone out there that also has him. That ball he hit, I still, you and I talked about it this morning. I've watched the video like 7 times. I don't think it really came down. I think it's in that warehouse across the street.
He crushed it so hard. I was hoping to get a good view of it because off the bat, I thought it was going to hit the warehouse.
Yeah.
And the announcer, I believe, says it hits the top of the fence and then goes over some covering on Utah Street that protects pedestrians out there walking. But, yeah, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, that reminded me of Griffey in the home run derby they had there. I think he's the guy to actually hit the warehouse on the fly. But, I mean, that was ridiculous. And I don't know. Grayson Rodriguez, maybe you send him down. But, I mean, you got to think. I don't know if he had confidence in that slider he was throwing, but, man.
Yeah, he's another guy. Now, I know we've talked about it on our show that we've kind of steered away from prospecting, but Grayson was one of those guys who, back when I did prospect, that I got invested in and had a lot of excitement coming into this year.
Yeah.
And he showed flashes of being a really good pitcher.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah, his minor league K numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know, I don't know anything about this, but I watched the Orioles Angels game, and it just seemed like from at bat to at bat, it was so wildly inconsistent. I mean, he's hitting like 97, 98 and blowing guys away, and then getting beaten on like an 0-2 inside changeup to Gio Urshela, which just doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Maybe it's game plan. Maybe his concentration just drifts occasionally, but I don't know. He's got great stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's giving up 4 runs in an inning. It happens fast.
I mean, I guess he's only 21, so was he ready? I don't know. I thought he was ready based on how he performed last year, but
yeah, the minor league numbers definitely made it look like he was ready. But the major league numbers, I don't know. Maybe honestly, if I just trade him off the other team I still have him on, maybe that'll jumpstart him.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah. I had to drop him in a league, so we'll see how he comes out and throws 7 shutout innings next.
You dropping Kelenic worked for him, so maybe this is what Grayson needed.
That is a great segue because I was going to mention that despite my disappointment in Grayson, Kelenic's a guy who I've been invested in, had bought his card since he was in the minors, and he has been playing great. I mean, he slowed down a little bit from his scorching start, but now he's batting cleanup in that lineup. Once J-Rod gets going, I think, he's on pace for a 30-100 season, batting in the 280s, which I believe everybody would be very happy with after his first career, 300 at-bats. Were pretty poor.
It might have been more than that. Plus, he's chipping. He's on pace for like 25 steals, too.
Yeah.
He's like a poor man's Kyle Tucker right now.
Yeah.
Just a better physique.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. I will say, so I was looking at our predictions. My absolute worst prediction, and I'm embarrassed to even bring this up. I said out loud with my voice and my mouth that the White Sox were going to win the AL Central. And doesn't feel good today. That doesn't feel good in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, I had the White Sox before switching over to the Guardians at the last second. And while they're still under 500, they're at least within shouting distance of 500, unlike the White Sox.
Yes, I will say that one of my reasons was I thought this would be Lewis Robert was about to have like a breakout season. So I feel good about that because he looks fantastic. He's killing the ball.
Yep.
All his ligaments are remaining intact. I think you said you described it last time as he's so fast he runs out of his bones. So far that has not happened.
Yeah.
But he looks like
he goes through streaks, but man, if he could stay healthy, what a fun player he is to watch.
Yeah, he's a great trade chip for them when they decide to rebuild.
Yeah. Dustin Phillips, thank you for watching and the support. Much appreciated. Yeah, some picks that we also missed. Neither of us mentioned the Rays.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed about that one too.
Yeah, they're on a historic pace. Like you said, they're missing some of their rotation. Doesn't matter. Players get hurt. Doesn't matter. People fill in. They've got an insane plus 120 run differential already.
That's absurd. That's absurd. Yeah. I mean, and like I think Jeffrey Springs is gone for the year, and Rasmussen, who like shuts out the Yankees and then goes on the IL for 60 days. So they're down like 2/5 of their rotation, but it doesn't seem to matter.
No.
Franco's having the season, a lot of us thought he would. Yandy Diaz just came out of absolute. I think he's already eclipsed his home run total from last year.
The hitting machine. Yep. And anybody they plug in, even the guys that play half the time, like Paredes today with 2 home runs.
Yep.
Yeah. That AL East is pretty crazy though, because I picked the Blue Jays to win. I believe they're in 3rd now, behind the Orioles and the Rays.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Red Sox are crash landing pretty hard right now. That run they had seemed unsustainable. But going back to Isaac Paredes, who homered twice today with 5 RBIs, what did you say you did to him? You did with him yesterday or 2 days ago?
Oh, I dropped him last week. Yeah.
Yes. We definitely have to coordinate this better.
Yeah, it seems.
If I have a pitcher, you get rid of him immediately, and anyone you drop, I need to pick up right away.
The frustrating part about the Rays, and Jared mentions they're the top of the class organization. They absolutely are. But the frustrating part as both a fantasy owner and a card collector is they manage to piece things together so much. So they don't have a lot of guys that play every day or pitch more than 5 innings, but it doesn't seem to matter. They just come together as a team.
Yeah, they don't have a locked in 1 through 9. I mean, that if Diaz comes back once I think he tweaked his groin or something. But I mean, Rosarena and Franco are going to be in there.
Yeah.
But other than that, they got a bunch of platoon guys. I mean, Brandon Lau's doing pretty well, but I don't think they ever let him face a lefty.
No.
They have that Walls. They have that other Lau. I mean, yeah, they just have a bunch of guys that
their quality starts is pretty low compared to their win percentage. Because they let guys pitch very long. They still have some openers every once in a while.
Yeah, especially with those 2 guys getting hurt, for sure.
So my AL pick was the Astros over the Jays.
All right.
So I'm not completely going away from that. I like the Astros more than the Jays, and I'm glad to see that the Angels are still over 500.
Yeah, I mean, all the different stories, like they will look at trading Ohtani, and then they won't. They're absolutely not going to trade Ohtani. And then I guess the latest one was that if the bottom falls out before July, then yes, they will explore a trade. But I mean, it just seems like there's no way. No way. He doesn't want to be the owner that traded Ohtani.
No.
But instead, he's going to be the owner that lost Ohtani for a compensation pick at the end of the 1st round.
Yeah, I got an interesting comment from Homerdome.cards on IG. The Rangers atop the AL West despite DeGrom and Seager missing extended time. So there's a team that went out and spent big, right? But the big spenders aren't the ones that, or the big earners aren't the ones who are coming through for them, and they're 11 games over 500.
Yeah, they're finally getting the Marcus Semien full season that I think expected last year. He looks great. And what's this? Adolis Garcia just.
Yeah, a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good-looking team.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, but I mean, no one expected DeGrom to make 30 starts. I think they're 20, but they'll probably get about 17.
Yeah,
if they're lucky.
Fran Hernandez, thank you. Thanks for checking out the show. We love talking about sports cards and sports, so thanks for joining us. Simeon's having a monster year. I believe he's second or third among position players in WAR. He's right behind Acuna.
Yep. Yeah. I also have in our surprises that we were talking that's probably a good surprise. My number 2 bad surprise is Manny Machado. We talked about a lot in our preview episode of both a guy who we thought could lead the league in RBIs, a guy who could take that next hobby step like into the mainstream. And instead, he's got a 282 OBP with a 372 slugging. It's like 120 points below his career average. And he's got an 84 OPS plus, which is bad.
That's extremely disappointing. I mean, in his defense, he's doing a little better. He had a terrible start, and he's gotten a little better. But compare that to Soto, who also had a terrible start, but who's been doing really well. His OPS plus, you know what it is? 149.
Yeah, Soto's fine.
Or as bad as everybody says he's doing, he's still having a great year. And I'm not as worried about Machado. I think he'll get his chances to turn it around, but it is surprising to see him. He's a usual slow starter, but this is getting a pretty long.
Yeah, and he got hot like early last week, but if you watched any of those Dodgers Padres games over the weekend, Machado didn't have a hit in the series and looked like horrible.
Really?
Like, really bad at bats. A lot of first pitch pop outs. Like just looked really bad. I wonder if he's like compensating for something, if he's got an injury we don't know about. But yeah, Jared Soto, I do think Machado was one of those guys I don't worry about until he tells us there's a reason to worry. So I assume there's a massive hot streak coming.
Agreed. Yeah, and so too early to worry about the Padres is the question. I mean, I've got the Padres over the Braves in the NLCS, and I had the Padres winning the World Series. So they're a long way to go from that, and especially seeing the division, how well the Dodgers are doing. So I'm not ready to bail on.
We got a great comparison to Arenado because, up until about a week ago, people were like, oh, God, is Arenado old? Like, is this the beginning of the end?
Yeah.
And then I think he hit like 6 home runs in his next 8 games.
Well, it's early that's all it takes. Same thing with Soto. I mean, he was batting $175, and everybody was saying he was completely done. 2 weeks later, now he's up over 250, getting on base all the time. So it's still early enough that these good hitters can turn it around for sure.
Yeah, exit velos on Soto were still real good.
Yeah,
like baseball savant numbers were really, really high. I know the expected numbers on Machado aren't much higher than what he's actually giving us. So
that's a little bit concerning.
Again, like you said, we're 5-6 weeks in. He gets hot for 2 weeks, and everything is going to look totally normal.
Yeah, the same goes for the rest of that lineup. If you've got any point in time where you've got Tatis, Bogarts, Soto, and Machado all hot or all firing, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're starting. I mean, and Ian, don't look down, but Blake Snell's thrown 3 straight quality starts.
Yeah.
God, that guy always looks like he woke up like a half hour before the game after he was on like a 48-hour meth bender.
Just wanted
55 and was like, yo, man, get out there and pitch. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
But somehow he gets it done. Or at least recently. He's been getting it done.
Yeah, I was looking at my preseason division winning picks, and I did have 2 out of the 3 so far in the National League with the Brewers and the Dodgers. I also had the Mets, and the Mets are struggling. I'd say based on payroll, they're probably the worst struggling team.
Yeah, I felt like you said you picked the Mets just to elicit some kind of reaction out of me. But yeah, I mean, I feel like anything for them that could go wrong kind of has. They've got 2 like 39-year-old starting pitchers. They're hoping to keep healthy. It hasn't happened. But Pete Alonso looks fantastic.
Monster. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still had 3 playoff teams coming out of the East.
Yeah.
There's only 1 team over 500 in that division now.
Hey, I think at this time last year, the Braves may not have been over 500. So, and the Mets were like 10 games up. So I would not. Yeah. Obviously, you know who I'm rooting for. But if I'm a fan of the Phillies or the Mets, I mean, I wouldn't. The division's not over by any means.
No, I think I still like their chance of getting a few teams into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to point out one of my favorite. A surprise isn't really the aspect of it that surprises me. I'm not surprised that Aaron Hicks is terrible because he's been terrible. but I am surprised that he continues to start games for the Yankees. And they put him in the left, which is like traditionally an offense first position. And his OPS plus, again, OPS plus, the league, it's 100 is league average. The last I checked his OPS plus, it was under 10. But he's 90% worse than a league average player.
Yeah.
And he's out there like 2 or 3 times a week for a team that's trying to win baseball games.
Or more than that. Yeah, I don't know if they're out of money or that he's got something on Cashman. I'm not sure.
Well, he's got his contract that Cashman gave him, which I think is probably the reason he's out there, because that guy's ego, I mean, we know Cashman's ego is pretty big, but I don't think he's willing to admit a mistake. But I do enjoy just looking at that box score when he's in there and just seeing an 0 for 4, sometimes 0 for 3 with a hit by pitch.
All right, we got a question on the Braves, so I'll read this one to you, Chris. Braves starting pitching injury is going to catch up to them. A lot of pressure on Strider and Morton to stay healthy and good.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to catch up to them, man. It kind of already has. I mean, this road trip that they're on. I mean, I'm trying to think. They beat the Red Sox and they lost 4 in a row, then won, and then lost again. So they're 2-5 basically since Max Fried went down. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the offense has to step up, and right now, Matt Olson is in one of those funks that he periodically gets into. Riley's not really doing anything. So it's just been the Acuna show. It's like, how many runs are they going to get out of Acuna to win this game? And when Sean Murphy was like the best player in baseball for 3 weeks, but that's not going to last either. Ozuna has been actually making some contact.
Yes.
But yeah, trying to figure out like Ozuna, Darno, Sam Hilliard, Eddie Rosario, and Kevin Pillar. They've got, 2 spots for those 5 guys, and they're trying to just get a hot hand in there.
And now it looks like Arcia's back. So
yeah, that makes a big deal. I love Vaughn Grissom, but the dude just cannot play enough defense to stay there. Yeah. Arcia is just that settled everything down when he came back. But yeah, the offense is just going to have to carry the load because, I mean, the bullpen hasn't been great, and obviously, I don't think anyone's told Brian Snicker that AJ Minter's ERA is closer to 8 than it is 6.
Yeah. Comment from M. Parsons that they need to win the game. Strider and Morton are pitching and leave Minter in the pen.
Yeah. They got to figure out. I mean, they got to get Minter right.
I get loyalty to a player and trying to figure them out, but there has to be better ways to do it.
And eighth inning of tie games is not the time. That's not the.
Give them some low leverage spots for a while.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, they're just. Jared Schuster pitched okay today. I think he went 5 and gave up 3, and that's not awesome. But the offense should be able to carry that, and they didn't today. But I mean, if he can do that consistently, I'll take that all day long, and I think the Braves would too.
So, did you get any other interesting responses from the IG question about biggest surprises? Good or bad?
I did. Yeah, and there was a question there. We got a question about. I saw someone just said they're going to take the blame on Minter. Oh, who, by the way, I had in 2 leagues for the first month.
Okay, bought a big card of his, and he's been horrible since. Ben, oh man. Well, thank you for taking the fall for that. I don't know what you can do about it. Sell it for a huge loss and guarantee a good comeback.
Well, maybe that's it. Yeah, you're going to have to put that up for bids right now. Take the meeting, and that might jumpstart it. But I want to know what the card was. I'm curious. I got some interesting. I got a lot of, we're in Los Angeles, so I had a lot of Dodger fans dancing on the supposed graves of the Padres. But
hard to blame them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count them out. And obviously, we learned last year, winning the division doesn't guarantee you anything in the playoffs.
Right.
Oh,
from Eric, what happened with your Acuna eBay return? You want to give a short fill-in for people who may have missed that?
So I bought an Acuna, the Stadium Club SSP. Ooh, the red sapphire.
So Ben, you picked up the Minter red sapphire rookie out of 10. Nice.
I really want to know how much that cost. I'm curious. You don't have to say it now. You can shoot me a message, but I look forward to seeing it because that's got to be an absolutely gorgeous card.
Yeah.
There's an Acuna up on eBay for like $70,000. If I'm guessing the Minter was a little bit cheaper than that. So I bought the Stadium Club Acuna SSP, the rookie. The non-auto, from a seller who said there was like a little, and all I had was a little, it's called a dimple on the back. And I was like, all right, I can live with that. That's a great card. I want it. 40. I bet it looks cool. Probably still. That's probably worth $40 just to have. I bet he'll bounce back. He goes through these streaks. But anyway, the card came back and it had the dimple, which Jeff and I saw. The front was like the cleanest surface of these cards we'd ever seen, but the back had like an indent on it, like they did, like something had been pressed into the back of the card and like the edge. It was bad. So I contacted the seller. The seller accepted my return, and then eBay like stepped in and stopped the return because it was I went through the authentication, and obviously I'd opened the package. So the response I got was that eBay wasn't going to allow the return because the label had been like this, which I have right here. This little eBay void thing wasn't intact. So I responded. I'm just like, well, how would I know if the card's damaged if I don't look at it? Like, so they did take the time. They looked at my exchanges with the seller, and they looked at the pictures. And then the first response I got, because the seller had even sent me a label, but then eBay had pulled the label back. So the second to last response I got was like, we're going to close this, and we're not allowing, you don't get the label, like there won't be a return. And I'm like, but the seller said there was. So I just asked, like, why would eBay even intervene on this? And then within about 20 minutes, someone else responded with an email with just the label. And they were like, there must have been a misunderstanding. Like, here's your return shipping label. And that was it. So I did eventually send it back, and I did eventually get the money back. So long story short, it's fine. And it's actually that very same card is up for bids again on eBay. So if you want the card, if you really, really love the card, and you want one that's not really gradable, this is a great option.
Yeah.
Probably this condition, $500 would be my guess. Maybe a little bit less. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for asking. I was very excited to get that money back, and then immediately pump it right into that Shohei Ohtani black that we bought. So the messages we got.
Yeah.
The first one I got was clearly a fantasy baseball player said his most surprising thing was that Brent Rooker is leading the AL and OPS. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either.
But be warned, I added him in one league, so he's probably going to get run over by a train.
Going to start to go down from there.
Yeah, I've had him for a couple weeks now, and I don't want to jinx anything, but so far he looks pretty good. Did you get any responses? I have more, but I figure you might want to.
Yeah, well, I mentioned most of them I got. I did get a response from Teague about Soto struggling. He looked so good in spring training in the WBC, but I don't even know if I'd count him as struggling anymore because the last 3 weeks he's just been on a massive tear. And like I was saying, is based on his statistics, he's almost in line with his career, except for batting average is a little lower. So I'll take that as far as struggling goes.
Yeah, that home running hit off of Urias was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's a line drive, maybe 30 feet off the ground, hit the back of the right field bullpen.
His exit velocity has still been top notch.
Yes.
I think it's great.
Yes. My favorite comment came, of course, from Jesse Lowdown, who just wrote Max effing Muncy.
Well,
the text I get about twice a day at this point. I think he's up to 14 home runs now.
Yeah.
Can't say it's a fluke. I think he's actually going to keep doing this. And I think it's smart they got him off of first base so he won't break his elbow trying to catch balls anymore.
Yeah. What does Max Muncy end the season with? How many home runs? That would be a good.
What would you put the over-under at now if you had to? Like if I said he's got 14 right now, but we know there's some cold streaks coming. I would put the over-under at like 34.5. What do you think? Oh, Soto's 2 for 2. All right.
All right. Speaking of Soto, thanks for the update, Dilute 15. I would still go with the over.
Yeah.
I was going to guess 36, so that's about right, kind of in that same ballpark. But
he is the one outlier because, as you know, I had him on all 3 of my fantasy teams. I'm just waiting. I should probably just get rid of him as quickly as possible. But yeah, to get like 30, 40 home runs out of your second baseman is pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did not realize this because I don't have him in fantasy and I don't follow the Cubs. But someone mentioned Justin Steele. Now it sounds like a porn star for sure, but he's actually like essentially the Cubs ace, and his numbers
fell today, but I don't know.
Yeah, his numbers are fantastic. Before today.
Yeah.
All right, so Jesse Lowdown is saying 40 plus home runs. Book it. So
home runs.
Right. It's a lot of home runs.
Yeah. Unrelated, but before I forget, I had a lot of interest in the 89 Donruss packs I was ripping on.
Yeah.
I posted a little bit about it. I've got a ton of them, and so my son and I were opening them, and miraculously, in the 3 packs, we did not get a Tom Gordon card.
I mean,
first pack.
There he
Going
is.
up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you could go 4 packs without getting it.
No.
Like that's got to be the max.
If I had to name any single card that was the most produced card in history, it would be this.
Absolutely. People are going to argue it's the Upper Deck Griffey, but no. The people that know, they know it's that Tom Gordon card.
Oh man! And how many are still out there?
Yeah,
all crack packs.
Yes, every time, just about, I can say 99% of the time, people ask me to come look at their cards and see like what's valuable and what they should do with them. And I open up like a Tupperware box, and it's all stuff from the 80s. That Tom Gordon card is one of the first like 7 right there.
Sticking out. Yeah, it might be buried under a little pile, but immediately it's not going to be the Griffey. It's not going to be anybody else from there.
That's the most telltale sign too. When I see that card, I just sort of sigh, and I know the routine that we're going to go through, which is me telling a friend of mine or a person I'm an acquaintance that this is not going to pay for a car. It's not going to pay for their kids' college. Like it probably isn't going to pay for the storage unit they're currently putting in.
You have to pay to have somebody take that pile, but it's still fun to go through.
It is. Oh, I enjoy it, but then the end is always like sadness, frustration, and then like sometimes anger. But I also got Mitch Keller, another breakout pitcher. Not many people saw it coming, myself included. And the Pirates got off to that really hot start. No one was predicting that.
Yeah, they sure did. They, they're still not bad. They're still over 500 in second place. But yeah, it's fun to see that teams you expect to underachieve do well, even if it's going to be limited.
Yeah, it gives the fans in Pittsburgh something to get excited about.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like Brian Reynolds got tricked. Like that hot start may have tricked him into deciding to stay there. He might regret that.
Yeah, it's money though. It's money.
It's $100 million, and obviously there isn't a lot I would not do for $100 million. And losing 100 baseball games a year for the next 8 years is definitely something I would happily sign up for.
Plus, he's not going to fill the whole contract. They're going to trade him and get younger when they get back into a rebuild.
What do you honestly think about Trout? Like, Ohtani's going to be gone. Unless they win the World Series, Ohtani's gone. And then at that point, Trout's just staring down the barrel of, 5 years of utter futility. 5 years of seeing Anthony Rendon like 3 times every 3 weeks. I mean, would he request a trade? And if he did, would they try? I don't know.
That'd be an interesting conversation. Like, would he do it in public? Would he do it privately and have the Angels fall on the sword for him?
I assume he'd do it privately. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would make a big public stink about
right,
it.
But how much would come out? Like if they
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you lose any remaining Angels fans there are.
Right.
But
depending on what you get. I mean, theoretically, if they fall out of it, if they're done, like say they lose 20 games in a row, let's just for argument's sake, and they put Ohtani on the block, and the Dodgers send them their top 4 prospects. And then they're like, well, our next window to win is probably these 4 prospects coming up. So let's see what's out there for Trout. And then they trade Trout for some other teams like top 3 prospects. Suddenly their farm system's a lot better. So as like the casual fan is furious, but I think the serious Angels fan would at least see a plan.
Yeah, we got a comment that'd be tough. A team would have to give up a ton to get him and take on his contract. That's the other part. There's a limited amount of teams that could take on what he is owed. So you'd have to have those teams have the quality prospects with the same time horizon.
I mean, depending on what they're willing to give up, and if the Angels want to look at it as in like 2024 through 2026, we are flat out rebuilding, a full-on rebuild, then I would imagine to get 3 top prospects, they'd eat some of that contract. It's crazy to think of a team eating money to move Trout, but if you can get the prospect capital, it's probably worthwhile. if you have no real hope of winning with him.
And at some point, despite his loyalty to the Angels, you think Trout would say, and as he's starting to near his mid-30s, he'd like to sniff a winner, you know?
And he talked about how much he loved the World Baseball Classic and that experience and how exciting it was and how important that was to him. And I don't think he's just going to want that every 4 years or every 3 years.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to play a role, especially if they don't even make the playoff. Especially if they don't play meaningful games in August or September.
Yeah, but I think it's a conversation that I assume has been had in the front office. If it hasn't been had, then they're not doing their job. But you would think
how much of that conversation went on before Moreno did his switcheroo on selling the team, or I'm selling now, I'm not selling.
I just
hated by the fans of the team.
I mean, has anyone misread their own public opinion more than him? Or you probably just surrounded by.
I'm not going to sell the team. I'm back.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of like Mr. Burns getting booed and Smithers being like, they're not saying boo, they're saying boo earns. Like, I feel like it's something along those lines. But yeah, good lord.
People with that much money usually do have yes men around them, so I wouldn't be surprised if some people telling them something similar.
Yeah. It would be really, really interesting to see what that team, what they could get for those two guys.
Yeah.
Because even if they ate like a touch of the contract, I bet if they ate none of it, as the contract is, Steve Cohen would give them pretty much whatever they want.
For sure.
He'd be happy to take that Trout contract, and they would sell Trout jerseys the first 2 months he's in New York. Would probably pay for the like a third of that deal.
And there's always some attachment to Philly to get Trout back to Philly, and Harper's been recruiting him hard. After all the recent outlay of money, I don't know if they would even be possible, but
no. But I mean, maybe they send Castellanos back the other way to kind of clear a little bit of space.
Yeah,
it would stink for him, but yeah, imagine Trout in that little ballpark in Philly.
That'd be sick.
I mean, even as a fan of someone in their division, it would be exciting to watch Harper and Trout hit back to back.
Yeah,
5 years.
Yeah.
That would be not fun to pitch against.
No, but baseball and baseball fans deserve to see Trout playing meaningful games. It's the best player of your generation's just not involved.
No, but I bet there's a conversation that could be had there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Phillies. I don't know. No, they have what's his name? Painter is like their top pitching prospect, right? Who's basically out for this year. So something like that. Like, we'll take the whole contract. You take Castellanos. I don't know who else they have. Painter, and then whatever. Their next 4 prospects. Doesn't matter. Like, just take whatever you want out of our minor league system. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, if they, like Ben says, if they kept Trey, you have a 1, 2, 3 of Trey, Trout, Harper. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you put Schwarber in there too, right? I mean, so you
Schwarber,
go like
Real Muto.
Yeah, what order do you want to do that? Do you want? Oh yeah, Real Muto too. So you, man, yeah, you don't want.
No.
Yeah, something like Trey Turner, Trout, Harper, Real Muto, Schwarber. I mean, man, that'd be really fun. Again, I would enjoy watching them play, not against the Braves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be great. Then we would just need Aaron Nola to stop throwing 92 instead of 96. And the Phillies would be well on their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fun topic. I would like. Yeah. That would. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let me stop fantasizing about my division rivals getting better and somehow that exciting me. Another comment we got was about Yoshida.
Yes. Good call.
Yeah, and sorry, Ben. I would love watching them play the Mets. Absolutely. Yeah. Yoshida came on hot and then looked utterly lost for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then made an adjustment and all of a sudden was great.
Yeah. I mean, that whole team, you're wondering where any runs were going to come from besides Devers, and they've kind of pieced it together. Duran has been a nice piece. Verdugo.
Yeah. They made a weird move of moving Devers back in the lineup and hitting him fourth. And I think he's leading the AL in RBI, so it seems to be working.
Yeah.
If you watch any Red Sox games, I don't know if you guys do or don't, but when you watch Yoshida, I will lightning strips. Just be like Yoshida's teeth are almost like a black light coming out of his mouth. My wife and I were laughing like if Freddie Freeman's teeth were that color, we'd all have like retinal damage from looking at him.
From the reflect.
So just look at that next time. It's pretty interesting.
I'll keep an eye out next time I see a Sox game.
Yeah. But I also got someone else was saying that a lot of the 2022 rookies have really disappointed this year, with the exception of our boy Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
And I would say Strider and Franco definitely delivering, but yeah, I mean Julio looked a little bit lost, but better of late.
Starting to turn it around a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that sophomore jinx.
Yeah, Michael fighting a little bit.
Yeah, I was speaking of rookie classes though, that 2018 class. Now that Soto's heating up, that Soto, Acuna, Ohtani triumvirate, that's gonna be a tough trio to beat.
Yeah, that rookie class is doing pretty much what everyone imagined. The pitchers not so much. Flaherty and Walker Buehler, not really in the equation. Albies is doing great too.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone the fantasy baseball trade you and I almost made regarding Michael Harris, and how at this point I'm not sure either one of us would be happy or any happy?
The preseason trade?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris and I play in a league, and I have a lot of outfielders in that league, and not a lot of pitching. And as everybody knows, the Brewers are one of my favorite teams. And like Chris, I thought Brandon Woodruff was going to have a good year coming into this year. So I offered him Michael Harris for Brandon Woodruff. They're both.
It's a keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preseason in most rankings, they were both like 30 to 35 in most consensus rankings. So there was a pretty even trade. So I brought that up, and Chris and I talked about it, but he said no.
Had I made that trade, the only pitcher I would have kept was Hunter Green. And I would say that would be really bad for my pitching staff, but that's pretty much what my pitching staff is. Like, Woodruff's been gone for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of, I know Harris isn't doing much for you, unfortunately. I mean, I think he'll get back on track. But yeah, that wasn't one where, it wouldn't have moved the needle much. It would have been great hype for the season, but at the end of that, so far.
Yeah. And early in the season, I mean, Woody looked great for his first couple starts, so I was really not getting him, but
yeah. All right, one other thing I want to talk about, as I see we're getting close to the hour mark,
was
we had written down that we predicted for hobby breakouts.
Oh yes, our hobby breakout.
Our hobby breakout list. We had 5 guys.
I believe this list also included viewer feedback.
It did.
And interest. So let's see how we all did.
All right. Well, the first guy, the guy you and I were most confident in, was going to have a huge 2023 hobby breakout, finally hit the mainstream, and we would see a lot of movement on, was, of course, Manny Machado. And I just wrote down UGG. He's got 0.2 WARs so far, and I'm assuming that's all on defense. So far, that one not working out.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Kyle Tucker. He's got a 114 OPS plus, 6 homers, 6 steals, but not much WAR.
I didn't realize his OPS plus was that low. I thought he was doing a little better than that. That's not going to be needle.
No, he hasn't been great. But yeah, not really getting anyone too excited. So up next, then we had Trey Turner. We thought maybe, Alonso got his 14th. Nice.
That's a lot of.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so Trey Turner was next. We thought Philly was going to be a really good team, and he would settle in and take off. Well, he's a sub-100 OPS plus, not even a 1 WAR yet. So again, the hobby is just utterly at this point forgotten Trey Turner even exists. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's going to end there. We got a long way to go. We talked about Freddie Freeman, how he's got some big round numbers coming his way. He is now 1 home run shy of 300 for his career. So hopefully you'll get a little bit of excitement when he hits that one.
That's great. Yeah.
46 hits away from 2,000, and he's at about 1.5 WAR. So he's doing Freddie Freeman things.
Yep. And him and Betts have started to heat up together a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. And the last guy was Mr. Bo Bichette. And this one, I think we hit this one pretty good, I think.
How I've been meaning to look, but I haven't yet. How is he doing as far as hits? Is there a chance that he's going to lead the league in hits again?
There's a very good chance he's going to lead the league in hits again. He's tied with Soto for a 144 OPS plus right now.
Great.
He's up at 1.6 WAR, and the hair is just shiny as ever. So yeah, he started off super slow last year, and if he can finish as strong as he did this year, or as he did, if he can finish this year as well as he finished last year, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know I'm not even drinking. He's looking for a career best season, but he looks great.
And his cards have seemed to tick up a little bit, or at least got more recognition in the hobby. I think more of his card selling.
Yeah, we've seen some of his a few of those the SSPs, the close-ups. I've seen a few of those hit eBay recently, and usually when the rare stuff comes up, that's a pretty good indication that. Thank you. He is leading the league in hits again. Thank you, Jared.
Jared.
Yeah, I mean, you got a shortstop just consistently. Before today, Bichette and Acuna both had 57 hits to lead the league. All right, I think Acuna has that I'm aware of.
Wow, that's a huge number of hits. And we know Bichette doesn't like to take a lot of walks, so he's going to get a lot of swings in there.
Yes. Yeah, he sure is. But yeah, so I would say, I think right now you and I we're looking for a big, I think if you're in a fantasy league, you might want to trade for Machado right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant to do it, but it's the payoff could be enormous. Ooh, all right. So Acuna's up by 1.
Thanks, Dilute. Yeah, Acuna's up by 1 for a major league lead. Like it. Well, good. Well, it seems like some of our predictions came true. Some of them so far, or I shouldn't say came true, but are looking good. Some not so good, but we've got a good part of the season to go. Just one prediction from now. What's your World Series? Who over who, if you had to pick now?
I'm not going to change it. I had Braves over Blue Jays, and I'm sticking with it. I don't know if Manoah is going to be a factor, but I'm still going Braves over Blue Jays because they have the Blue Jays may just call up Tiedemann to come in and take over Manoah's spot. Although I think he might be dealing with a leg injury. But yeah, I'm still going Blue Jays versus Braves.
All right, and I'm still going Padres over Astros, which is what I had. So I'm still going to ride with that. But it's tough to pick against the Rays the way they're playing and the Braves. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the Rays do look great, for sure. But I would like to retract my White Sox pick. But what I might do is go into that video and just dub over my voice.
Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put like a little
a twin
face. Yeah. Say Twins. But I do like seeing Joey Gallo launch balls again. So I like the Twins.
Yeah.
If Correa can get hot,
and it's always fun to watch when he's in there.
Yep.
It's fun to watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for this last hour to talk some baseball, MLB season so far, and for all the comments that you guys have given us on IG. So if you're not following us on IG, please find us. I'm My Favorite Cardboard on IG, and Chris is Baseball Card Addict. We'll put our handles in the description down below if you haven't. And please hit subscribe here and look for us next week. Anything you want to say, Chris, to close it out?
I'm going to throw real quick. Someone asked us what we think about Gunnar Henderson because he had been struggling. I don't really have a response. I don't know enough about how he's doing. I did see that the Orioles were hitting him like 9th, I think. So I'm guessing defense is good, but
batting 180 and he has 0.3 WAR on the season. So I don't know. There's a long time to turn it around, but there's a lot of good surprises in that Orioles lineup. Mountcastle doing pretty well.
Santander's been solid. But yeah, they might want to just take Grayson and Gunnar and just send them down for 2 weeks. Let them try to get some confidence up.
A little seasoning.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for all the comments on here. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. Check out the videos on the channel, please. And we'll see you next week. See ya.